Hey, let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the prediction stream of
Woo!
6EC 2025. Um, in this year, the predictions will be getting way more objective than last year because
Good.
today I'm not the only one who's gonna be predicting the placements of the teams. Today I'm
Oh,
gonna be commentating with Gamili
yo.
and with Wheels as the host of the tournament. Say
Hello.
hi. Yo. Okay, insane, right?
Yep, that's great to hear. And for Lobson, I believe today we'll also be going through some of the roster reviews that were sent in. Huge shout outs to everybody who took the time to, produce roster reviews. I should know it is a daunting process that I didn't finish last year. Apart from Russia, Jesus Christ, why the hell do you guys give us a 10-minute video? I'm actually gonna crash out. But yeah, as you know, me, Philoxen, admins of the 6EC team, alongside Wheels West, our lovely host. Because a lot of these players will be newer. We do apologize if our coverage isn't as succinct as perhaps what you remember from 6WC 2024. But nonetheless, hopefully, we will get at least 50% correct on these on these predictions. But yeah.
Trust.
Any last words before we get started with the reveal?
Um, please don't be very strict towards us and don't make 10 speech bubbles right after the stream ends.
Oh my god, Jesus Christ.
But yeah, with that, we can be starting the prediction stream. I
Yeah,
feel like, yeah.
yeah, let's get
Um,
straight into it.
Cool. So, first team up in alphabetical order will be Belarus.
Hmm.
What are our thoughts
Okay.
on Belarus?
I guess I can kickstart this.
okay.
From some of these players in Belarus, I sort of arrow onto two players, that being their captain Dalong as well as Forian. Both these players are relatively new. I think they got into the six-digit scene sort of in the tail end of the previous era, so 6WC 2024, and they played for the minor league. Dalong in particular, I believe, um, they surprised me a lot when it came to just looking at their ETX. I believe they're like what 56k in terms of ETX. Not too sure about Forian, but what I do know is that both these players played in my sort of quote unquote invitational private tournament. I mean, if you guys were involved in that, you would know. I think Kira and Chad was playing in that tournament, but they actually seeded at around the middle scene mark, and given how that tournament was filled with a bunch of insane players from the old six-digit era, I mean, that is definitely pretty impressive. So even though Belarus, I don't think historically is a very, very strong country, I think this year with the existence of these two carry, quote unquote carry players, and I'm sure that there are some players that are definitely flying over my head right now. Definitely think Belarus might be able to, pull up a surprise performance, or surprisingly solid performance in 6EC.
Yeah, Belarus definitely has been getting more and more sign-ups throughout 6WC4 and now 6EC 2025. As Camille mentioned, Darlang and Foreign, they're very experienced players. Darlang even participated in a couple of 6EC pre-tournament events, which he performed really well on. In addition, they played a scrim against Ukraine, and Darlang and Foreign, literally, they were winning maps like just in duo. So yeah, definitely a very strong, powerful duo from them. But I also must mention Pioneerka, because a couple of weeks ago I hosted with one person. I hosted a fast cap, and this player can play easy. They can play hidden. They can tap at around 5.5 star rating pools. So they're pretty well rounded, and so with that addition of 3 carries, in my opinion, I think they might get somewhere like really high.
Yeah.
But quickly going over a couple more things. Their overall average rank also is pretty high. There's only one player that's not above 120, 130k. So if those players, assuming that they're more mechanics players based off of the rank, if they're able to win some of those mechanic picks and not have to rely as much on some of those carry performances, I think they have a very good shot of winning a couple matches this year. So with that, I think I want to put them
Oh
in
yeah, we need a
name the
rank.
12th
Oh,
right
true.
now. Just for now.
9 to 12. Okay, okay.
9 to
Um,
12.
I think it'll depend on their qualifier seeding. If they get a really good qualifier seed, I can definitely see them placing a lot higher than this. But I know in the past, some countries in Europe have been known to deseed and cause some chaos in
Yep.
tournaments. So just for right now, I'm going to leave them in this spot with
Yeah.
definite potential to move up.
I'm actually gonna go for a more optimistic look. I think definitely I'm sitting around the 7th to 8th position when it comes to Belarus.
Yeah, I think same. This year might be their year finally, and they've been looking really strong in the previous pre-tournament events and on the screams. So yeah,
Nice.
7 to 8, my guess here.
So we'll put them
So yeah, for
in
now,
that 7th to 8th position. Because I
insane.
do agree. I think some teams get really bad bracket luck, but I believe that there won't be any deseeding this year, and that we will get more accurate seeding results and more accurate matches throughout the tournament. And I do believe that they have more than enough potential to get up into that 7th to 8th spot.
Yeah, and before Germany is actually seed 15 and the entire bracket eats shit. You love to see
Yeah,
it.
that's-
Anyways, let's move on to the next country. And I think it's here where you'll realize that we are actually covering. Oh, wait, we're not. Okay, well, I
Oh,
guess we're not doing it.
I
Well,
Yeah, we'll just do major first.
that's sure. Gonna kickstart off. No, we're gonna follow up with Belgium. This is This is one of those rosters, and we're gonna see quite a few of them. Moving forward, these are some of the rosters that don't have a full 8-player team, and of course, I guess from a first, from a first impression point of view, definitely none of these players really stand out to me. They didn't really stand out to me when it came to my scouting. But perhaps the others has something else to say about them. But for me right now, I mean, with such a limited roster and without any notable carry players, I think this is gonna be one of those teams that you can never be too sure with how well they perform. But typically in these sorts of situations, it is an NQ or a low placement. But I don't know, Philoxen, do you have anything? Do you know anything in particular about this team?
The players have been participating in the pre-tournament event, so I believe they got some experience and that they will not be feeling like pretty much uncomfortable when playing Quals and the tournament itself. So they might actually qual for the major stage. But even if not, then I think they still they will not get disqualified. I mean, they don't qualify because they will be put in the minor league even if they place lower than 16th placement. And in minor league, I believe they have some really good chances of winning a couple of matches because of the experience that the events have given to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do also agree that this is a very new roster. I don't think I only recognize their captain in terms of names, but I do unfortunately want to shout out one of the people I've played against and have hosted in Meeb. 777, unfortunately, is no longer playing the game from what I've gathered. He was one of those Belgian players I was hoping to see play this year, since I knew his skill, especially at lower star rating, is super important to have on rosters, but unfortunately, I don't think he's actively playing anymore.
The best of luck this time.
And yeah, we're gonna go from Belgium. Oh wait, yeah, we need a bro. Bro, I don't even have the sheet open. I'm actually terrible.
No,
I'm
you can
really.
guess. You can guess.
I can guess. I can guess. Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna go from Belgium from another five-player roster straight into another five-player roster in Bulgaria, if I'm not wrong. Yep,
Yep.
and it's gonna be Bulgaria. This is one of those rosters that sort of died after the rework. As you can see, they used to. I think Bulgaria historically. I mean, we've had sort of a history. I mean, as Singapore, we've had sort of a history of Bulgaria. You know, we scrim from time to time, especially during the 2023 era. But it's quite clear to see that Bulgaria has definitely taken a hit from the combo scaling rework. CSR, my beloved, and as you can see, similar in fashion to Belgium. I mean, Bulgaria has definitely lost. They have lost their entire roster, and at this point, they're really trying to build it back up. But I mean, probably not able to do it before the 6 EC deadline. So yeah, similar to Belgium, we are gonna see another five-player roster. And I think, I mean, if any of these players were involved in scrims, Philoxen would probably be able to tell you more about them. So Philoxen, do you have anything to add on to these guys?
Um, the thing that I want to tell you guys is that I'm sorry, Team Bulgaria, that the screening has done you so dirty
Oh shit.
because they had 9 sign-ups before the screening process.
Oh no.
And,
Oh.
and after
Oh.
the screening, there were 4 screened players just because the profiles looked a bit too weird. And yeah, that made the roster have only 5 players in it, and unfortunately, I cannot really reckon any of the players. Haven't seen them before in any tournaments, not even pre-tourney events. But according to their ranks, it's not like the only thing that they can play is 3 stars. They can play a lot of maps, and I don't think they will get skill capped in the earlier stages. So yeah, I think it's kind of the same story with Belgium and Bulgaria. So I'm just gonna stick with do not qualify.
Yeah. I will also agree with that, but I do think they have some potential to make a run in minor league, and hopefully, with that, that'll bring out some more registrations for future team-based or country-based tournaments like 6WC, and then hopefully back again next year for 6EC, and then use this as more of a stepping stone for years to come.
Yeah. But with that, let's move on to the next country, and we are gonna get straight into Denmark, I believe.
Yes.
Yep, and we see our first returning players in this prediction stream. Of course, we have the Tawny veteran, a staple of the 6-digit community at this point. Those are rare with all the CSR stuff. We have Rurup coming back for another year, once again as the captain of Team Denmark. Rurup is an extremely well-known player in the 6-digit community. They are a very strong aim/mechanics player overall, and they have a lot of experience under their belt. But as you can see, they're not the only returnee coming back this year. We have Coach Han and Decrescendo. I'm not too familiar with Coach Kong Chan, unfortunately, but Decrescendo, from what I remember, was one of the carries of Team Denmark in 6WC 2023. No, 2024 and 2023, I believe. And yeah, Decrescendo alongside Brewer has always sort of formed this core for Denmark, which allows them to make pretty good placements in whatever they in of course whatever they play in. But I don't know. I don't know. This lineup is like sort of one of those countries there that you look at Denmark and you look at Belarus and you sort of compare them beside each other because both of them have their carries, both of them have their highs, but at the same time, you know, their support it just doesn't seem to be prominent. Which is why I look at Denmark and I'm sort of doubtful that these three returning players are going to are going to go the extra mile, right? Because even though I think Rurup, Dish Crescendo, and Kochan are definitely carries in their own rights, the question now becomes how much of a carry or how much can they carry their team? And of course, well, Philoxen, would you like to give us more insight into these teams if you have any?
Yeah, Rurup will definitely cook something on those hard rocks, Ziggersanda, Permalobby, and everything. But even though they have all that core, the newer players, even though they've played a couple of the events before the tournament, I don't think that's gonna be looking stronger than Belarus so far. They're definitely qualifying, but yeah, I think they will be slightly lower, around 9 to 12.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah, so looking at a couple of their ranks, there are a couple that are on that borderline of 5-digit, 6-digit. I especially want to look at, I think it's Drale. I looked briefly at their profile and they have a lot of those mechanics picks, whether it's DT, no mod, or hard rock. And I think that will pair really well with Rurup and make a nice little trio of AIM players for them. And I would agree that I do think they qualify, but I don't know if they get through for a win. So I'm going to put them for now at 13th to 16th. But looks like
yeah, fair enough.
we're gonna throw them into 9th to 12th for now.
All right.
Yeah.
And
So I believe 13th to 16th. I think the majority is 9th to 12th. So they are gonna be hovering slightly under Belarus. But yeah, let's move straight along to our international team.
Oh.
This is I believe this is the
Wait, not yet.
oh,
is this not wait, is this not the wait, oh okay, well I guess it's
No.
not the international team. We're going into Finland. Finland. How my absolute beloved. In Finland in 6WC, I believe their roster was sort of anchored by Alu 16. I believe is that Abex? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Should be,
Yeah, they were sort of batteried by Abex and Gigel. But of course, with everybody ranking out of 6WC, they've definitely lost two of their core players. But we are in fact going to wait. Alu is on the new roster. Wait. I'm so confused. I'm getting my ankles are getting broken. Well, we're gonna see Contillo and Matsky along according to our sheet back for this EC roster. And we are as well gonna see Alu 16 in this roster, which is pretty interesting. I think Alu 16 as the captain of Finland from 6WC, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not too sure of what our sheet is doing, or maybe I'm just wrong. But Alu 16 definitely has a lot of experience under their belt. When they captain Team Finland, could definitely see that they were a suitable person for the job. And not to mention, we also have Allegro in as the captain this year for EUC. And well, I'm not too familiar with Allegro, but I am pretty sure that Allegro is a pretty old and experienced player as well. Believe they were in Team Finland for 6WC3. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, 6WC3 and 6WC4. So yeah, we are going to see a bunch of players. We are going to see a bunch of players in this EUC roster that we've seen in the old 6WC roster, and I think not only does this just speak to the experience of the teams, but it also speaks to sort of the camaraderie and the sort of bond that they have as a team. But Philoxen, I'm sure you have some things to say about the limited roster of Team Finland this year.
Yeah, that's for sure. Allegro and Alu are definitely familiar names in the tournament scene to the players who've been playing tournaments. And with the addition of Conti and Mansky from the last year, I will call it. I think that's going to be the strongest 5-man team in 6EC 2025. So I actually have some hopes that they will qualify. Really high hopes. So I will put them at 13th to 16th.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
This is a tough one for me. I personally would put them at 16 to 12 because, well, we don't have anyone in 16 or 13 to 16 to act as a benchmark, but I definitely think that this returning roster is probably enough to match up with at least the carries of Team Denmark, which is why I'm sort of leaning towards 9th to 12.
Ooh.
But we can always rearrange people.
Yeah, we can.
I do know a little bit about Contio from 6WC minor league screening. That was one of the players that we were taking a look into just because of how good their gimmick scores were specifically. And I think this year it's going to be pretty important to have some of those gimmick players, and the fact that Allegro and Alu can kind of really play everything, having that third player that can go in and guarantee solid scores on those gimmick maps, I think is going to put them in a very good spot to win. I am a little different in terms of predictions for you guys when I wrote my speedrun tier list. I have them in 5th to 6th.
Wow.
Yes,
wow.
I have a lot of faith. I have a lot of faith in this team this year. I feel like they have a really solid roster despite not having all 8 of those players filling out the roster.
Yeah, honestly, Wheels, you sort of, I mean, this team definitely takes the carry approach to another level, right? This team has carries, but the entire team is just carries, and they sort of omit all of the sort of filler players that you usually get on a roster. The struggle of this team, 100% without a doubt, is going to be their limited roster, and it's gonna be getting abused on different outlets. So I think Allegro as the captain definitely needs to play with their resources well going into the bracket stage. They need to be able to ban it. They need to be able to pick to their absolute best because they cannot afford to slip up with a roster as limited as this. But I think don't want to belabor on for too much longer. I think we can keep them around 7th to 8th, sort of a balance between all of our predictions.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with that said, ladies and gentlemen, get your boos ready. Get ready to boo the next country, because you know them, you love them. It's gonna be the lovely Team France. Oh ho 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 ho. Insert everybody loves the French, everybody hates the French joke here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting straight into Team France, and this is perhaps one of, if not the scariest countries coming into 6EC. We have a bunch of well-known players. We have, La Favre in LOL or slash LOL 2024. Shoutouts to being my #1 viewer on my Twitch. But we also have Linux Dev coming in as the captain for this. I believe Linux Dev is also what Manten JD, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, just Manten.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of experience coming in from both of these players, and I haven't even addressed the elephant in the room being the one, the only 6-digit legend Momo Nagi, a demon on low SR, a demon on gimmick, and overall just an incredible player for France. And I mean, they're back again. They're back once again to, hopefully put out the same sort of performance. I will say though, this Team France roster is quite a bit weaker than every French roster that I've seen in the past. At least when it comes to what sort of or when it comes to the players that they're able to put on the board. As you can see, we don't have a full lineup. But with that said, I'd say that Team French is pretty similar. Team France is pretty similar to Team Finland in the sense that everybody is pretty evenly matched in skill to the point where you know everybody can sort of act as their pseudo carries, at least in their specialist fields. But I think Philoxen, you can give a bit more insight into specific players.
Yeah. France definitely can cover most of the skill sets in any pool. Momonagi for hidden, then we have Manton for hard rocks. In addition, Manton just beat me in the 1v1 ETX match like 2 days ago or something. So he's really strong. He's improved. I think that the carry potential from him is going to be crazy, and they are definitely will be able to at least pair up with Belarus or Finland. And then, when you see when you look at the roster, you realize that they have only 7 players. That's because the French team did the funny.
Oh,
They submitted both 7 players for both of their A and B team rosters.
go to
Just for the
go to-
balance, yeah.
That's fair.
So
yeah.
looks like fifth to sixth
Wheels,
place.
do you have anything to sort of wrap up the segment?
Yeah. I definitely agree that this is a very strong roster. My only worry, not knowing everyone on this team, is I don't know if they necessarily can fill out 4 players for every map. Because I know, like, Manton and Momonagi are very specialized in what they're good at,
That's true.
but I don't know if they necessarily have those, like, hyper carries that are just, they're going to be in for every map. So I worry a little bit about that. And when they run into some of those good teams, if they're able to work through them in low SR, or they have that skill cap to match them or beat them in high SR. But okay,
I think the lens that we're looking at Team France through is definitely one that is a pre-CSR sort of view of looking at the team. Because I mean, Wheels, you mentioned very, very good points. Specialized players. That 4th player syndrome is always looming in a team size 8 tournament, 4v4, 4v4 format. But then again, I think a lot of other countries that we've seen before will definitely struggle with that 4th player syndrome. And to some extent, I believe that if there was ever a country with a limited roster, France would probably be able to cover enough bases to say make it into the top 4, which is why I'm personally putting my vote in the top 4. And I think that sort of acts as a middle ground, because Wheels, you say that France once again you think that France should get top 3, which is pretty ballsy.
yes.
But yeah, I'm gonna act as sort of a middle ground right now. Gonna go into 4th, because I do know we have some scary people moving forward. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up the French. And yeah, let's not glaze them for too long. Let's move straight on to our next country if nobody else has anything left to speak. And speaking of strong countries, ladies and gentlemen, we have one of historically the best teams, or some of the most consistent teams in the World Cup series. Ladies and gentlemen, I announce Team Germany. This is a roster, to say the very least. I think I know most of the players on the roster, and the ones I do not know, I believe Philoxen will be able to add on when it comes to the pre-tourney events. But I'm just gonna talk about some of these players in particular. First up, we have our veteran players. You have 3 players that mainly come to mind. You have Turley Manor, Rota Virgil, and Lunexia. Lunexia, the low SR demon. Everybody knows them. Everybody knows them for their ability on streams. They're very, very good on the reading, and overall they're just a very, very consistent player. They used to be sort of an easy specialized player, but through the years, and through the multiple tournaments of the World Cup series that we've seen, they definitely improved in a multitude of skill sets, and they acted as one of the carries of 6WC 2024 Germany. But you can't talk about 2024 Germany without talking about Rota Virgil, who is one of the most consistent carries and the craziest players in the 150k scene, or at least before CSR came. Rota Virgil, so incredibly strong and so incredibly scary on control, as well as hidden, if I'm not wrong. Definitely one of the premier players when it comes to that sort of area. Uh, but of course, we also have our lovely 6WC host, as well as 6WC runner-up, I believe, Turley Manor. A lot of people know them for their work in 6WC and their work as a host in general, but a lot of people underlook Turley when it comes to being a player. And yeah, Turley, definitely a sleeper pick, to say the very least. An incredible all-rounder on all fronts, and just able to cover a lot of maps just so well. But and before we move on to the three players in the middle, I'd like to shout out our two sort of quote unquote newish players. We have Rosie, Kira, and Mevil. Gonna start off with Kira. Kira is a player that has been making waves in the 150k scene. One of the premier hard rock players of the tournament, and as a hard rock specialist, she is just absolutely incredible. I don't think there's a lot of 6 digits that can match up their raw hard rock ability, despite not having the best time when it comes to being all-rounded. I think in a team size 8, their skills are very valuable. But of course, I'm gonna glaze my lovely Meryl for 1 second. Meryl quit. Meryl was actually active before the 6WC 2024 period, but of course, due to some hand injuries or whatnot, they took a short hiatus. But they are back, and they are kicking, to say the very least. Meryl, incredible comeback from 6EC. I believe they were one of the top performing players in their trials. Number 1 in lower side, number 4 in higher side, if I'm not wrong. Which is just absolutely incredible for a returnee player. But yeah, overall, this roster from the 5 players that I mentioned, and Philoxen you can add on later on. But yeah, I am looking forward to seeing this team perform. Philoxen, would you like to cover the last 3 people on the lineup?
Yeah, for sure. Needless to say, this team consists of literal dinosaurs. But yeah,
Dinosaurs.
not speaking of them. We have Eden and Katare. They played in a couple of return events. Eden's team in the Scream Scramble, I believe by individual stats, like team stats, his team got the highest placement out of all the other teams after their 2 matches. So yeah, really good. He performed really well. And I believe he has some really good analyzing skills. So their team will not only have most of the skill sets covered, but they will also have some, new minds to discuss about the strategy. So Terry Manor will definitely have some support on discussing of whether they should pick this map or that map. And Zushi, well, he's not a new player at all. I believe last year in 6EC he was playing in a B team. Yeah, he's literally one of the most long-standing 6-digit tournament players. Been playing tournaments from, I don't know, 2021 or something. So yeah, very experienced, can cover hard rocks, gimmicks, like literally everything. And I believe that's top 3 potential for sure.
I am willing to say that this is top 2.
Oh,
personally. Wheels?
I will break the tie and go with a repeat answer of 3rd place because I kind of forgot just how good this team was.
No way.
But I do feel like there are 2 teams, I think, that are a little scarier, at least on paper.
I know which
one. Wait. Okay, wait. Hang on. Okay, wait. I retract my vote. Just because of because I sort of preemptively scrolled down on our list. I can definitely see what they're talking about. But yeah, when it comes to Team Germany, I think that this team will I mean I think Team Germany overall is a very mental pilled team. Whether their mental is good or bad will definitely steer the way or definitely pave the way of their 6EC career. Although I will say this team, whatever it is, guaranteed top 3 full stop. I cannot see this team going any lower unless we have some crazy underperformance or some mental booms happen. But overall, Team Germany is back, to say the very least. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be our first top 3 of our prediction stream. But yeah, we're gonna move straight on. Let's not let's not glaze them too hard. Let's move on to Team Italy, which is our next team.
Let's go.
And yeah. We're gonna see Team Italy come in once again. I do believe that in this roster, Team Italy has taken some big losses. I believe in 6WC we saw I believe, who was it? El Rachi. Am I right? El Rachi for Team Italy. Oh wait, was that Mexico? Wait, no, that was Mexico.
Yeah.
They had the same colors. Okay, well, GG. Team Italy. Insert 6WC, was it 2? Insert 6WC 2 joke here. But yeah, Team Italy, after their quote unquote performance in 6WC, hasn't really shined it that bright when it came to the World Cup series. We are going to see a returning player in Gentleman, but other than that, I really don't recognize a lot of these players. So I mean, Philoxen, perhaps you'll be able to provide more insight.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, Gamili, because most of them are literally 60C is their first tournament, and some certain people were defending them and literally begging us to unscreen them. So we look, we did the research, and well, we unscreened them. So guys, this is your chance. Show us that you were unscreened for a reason, because I personally think 13th to 16th placement is definitely something you can get, if not higher.
Yeah, I think what sets this country, I mean, not in a positive way, but what sets them apart from the countries that we have a bit higher up on the list is that they don't really have very well-known carry players, which is why I'm probably gonna go 13 to 16 for this one. We also feel like to wrap up the segment.
Yeah, I don't really know a whole lot of these players, and just looking at their ranks, they're not necessarily the highest ranks either, so I am a little worried about their ability to be consistent on mainly the qualifiers pool to get them into that major spot. And I do feel that there are some solo carries that could potentially outperform team carries, and with that I want to unfortunately put them in DNQ.
Oh really?
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
But we will put them into 13th to 16th because of the majority. So I can't see them qualifying though. I do think they have the potential. The fact that they do have those 3 additional players over teams or over countries like Belgium and Bulgaria does give them that natural advantage that they don't need to play every single map.
True.
So I do think that is entirely possible for them to qualify.
Yeah. But with that, let's move on to our next roster. And I believe we are going to see Kazakhstan coming back. Kazakhstan is one of those countries that, well, at least during 6WC, they had a lot of signups. But it didn't really reflect their actual sort of tourney performance extremely well. And for what it's worth, Team Kazakhstan in the previous 6EC, I think they could have done a lot better in their performance, to say the very least. But of course, with this year, we are met with a completely new roster, and of course, I think the big elephant in the room, the one of the best newcomers of the six-digit or the six-digit scene in general is gonna be Aaron XZZ. This player, from the few matches that I've watched of the pre-tourney events, Aaron X is they are an incredible upstart player and definitely going to be one of the carries of Team Kazakhstan this year. Philoxen, would you like to add on, because I'm sure you know a bit more about the Kazakh scene. You know more than me.
Yeah, unfortunately, the PP rework did them dirty. Not as much signups as last time for 6WC, but Arongs, literally every time we were hosting a pre-tourney event, I saw his name fucking everywhere, and that's for a reason, because bro was outperforming like many experienced tournament players without any troubles. So just simply looking at him only is already making me say that they will at least get from 9th to 12th placement. Not even talking about just Remo and Rusaki also were participating in a couple of those. So the experience that we gave to them will definitely help them in bracket stage. So yeah, I would put them on the same level as Team Denmark so far.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do agree.
Yeah, I think
I
purely
do-
based off Aaron X, I would put
Yes.
them in. Yeah.
Yes, because I do know those three players that we have talked about already, but I will shout out last year's Kazakhstan roster because half of their roster is now staffing this year. So
Woo!
thank you for that. Thank you so much. We have,
Yeah,
believe we have Nordax, Skivdos, and Lucivon as GFX Sheeter general staff members, and then Depressive for playtesting, pooling, and replays. So I want to shout them out for continuing their support, even though they are no longer in that 6-digit range.
I personally like to shout out Depressive for being one of the best refs that I've ever worked with. This guy signed up randomly for my private tournament, said that he wouldn't ref Quals, and then proceeds to ref the entirety of my Quals. So yeah, huge shout outs to Depressive. Me and Perry both love you very much. But yeah, let's with that, let's move straight along to the next roster, and it's going to be Latvia. Oof.
Holy.
We get into our next constrained roster, and I believe this is a new roster in 6EC, or at least they didn't participate in 6EC 2024. Gonna take a quick look at these players, and I can immediately say that I am not familiar with any of them whatsoever, which doesn't inspire the most confidence in me going at least into the qualifier stage. Philoxen, do you have anything that you perhaps know about these players whatsoever?
Yeah, shoutouts to Sasha Gay, very cool nickname, my guy. Yeah, that's it. I cannot add anything, but that nickname itself,
Yeah.
solos the entire tournament.
Wheels, what about you?
I also don't have a whole lot of info on them. I believe they had one, maybe two signups for 6WC, if I'm remembering correctly. And I don't think either of
actually
the...
had a roster for 6WC.
Oh,
If I'm not mistaken.
okay. I was quickly going through the minor league sheet, and I did not see any names. So either they only had that major team and they qualified, or they didn't end up participating in minor league as a major roster. But
yeah, I think overall Latvia is one of those countries that have been sort of popping up recently in the 6-digit tournament or the 6-digit World Cup series, but overall they still have some ways to go when it comes to building their roster. Definitely though, I think this is a very good start for as a newer country to sort of progress a bit more in the World Cup series. definitely. So yeah, it's gonna take some more time. I don't think this is the place where they'll make their break, but 100% definitely excited to see more Latvian rosters coming into the World Cup series. But yeah, for now, for me, it's gonna be DNQ.
Yeah, we'll do the same.
Definitely want them to have fun in this tournament, try and get some more registrations for 6WC, and then we'll see from there if they are able to develop a more solidified, more seasoned roster for 6WC.
Yeah, but speaking of seasoned, we're gonna jump into our next roster, and it's gonna be Norway. If you know anything about Norway, you'll know that they have three big names that pop up whenever a Norway or a Norwegian roster comes up. We have two out of the three players, in Mr. Wong and ND26. Unfortunately, Supi Yeager is not in the rank range, I believe. Finally, the world is healing from the Supi Yeager disease. But jokes aside, we have Mr. Wong and ND26 coming back alongside Halbane, but I'm gonna real quick do a bit of Mr. Wong and Andy glazing. Andy 26 in at least for Loxton's era, he can tell you more about it, but was one of the craziest aim players, just raw aim, completely unmatched when it came to their raw aim ability. And Andy 26 is just a really scary player. Mr. Wong has been the captain of many Norwegian rosters, and I mean this roster is no different. They are very strong on their gimmicks, their hidden twos, alongside, I believe, just raw consistency. And Highbane, I mean, even though I don't have too much information on them, um, overall, I think with the experience that they had from 6EC 2024, it'll be a pretty valuable tool, at least to the roster. But Philosopher, would you like to take the baton, talk a bit more about this team?
Yeah. Well, Haibane last year definitely was a dark horse for Norway's team, pretty much unexperienced player. But after 6DC 2024, many things have changed. They got a second place in a 6-digit Nordic Summer Showdown, if I remember correctly.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah, and Dan did some really good performances in one of the pre-tourney events. So yeah, they've definitely gotten more experience throughout this whole year. So they will be a great support for Andy and Mr. Wang, who have been really famous in the 6-digit scene, especially Andy last year getting, if I remember correctly, top 1 placement in one of the 6EC rounds by individual stats. So yeah, day 3 will be looking really scary. And I think it's about time that we started moving some teams from their placements, because I think they will stop at around 7th to 8th place.
Yeah, I think this is one of those rosters where it's pretty tied up, in my opinion, between Belarus and Finland. And given how they're both contested the spots, I really don't know who to put above. But I mean, to be honest, if you had to ask me, I think I would move Finland down, and I would put them at 7th to 8th as well. Wheels, what is your take?
I had them also on my list as 7th to 8th, and I am good with whichever team we want to bump down for now, which I think was unfortunately, decided on to be Finland.
Yeah, I mean, I think either country could be bumped down. I think Finland overall has more carry players in Alu and Allegro, while of course Belarus has less carry players in Dalong and Foyen. So maybe based off that, I will actually I'll actually bring Belarus down, and then move Norway up. I think me personally, I think, you know, taking a step back on what we currently have, that is what I would put. I think I still put Finland in 7th, but I would move Belarus down. And yeah, I think I mean Philoxen, do you have any objections?
Yeah, I don't think I would. Because I would put Norway and Belarus in 7th to 8th because I'm just a bit more familiar with the Belarusian players. Um, just from that information from the Scream against Ukraine that they played. Because
Oh,
yeah, because Foreign and Darlong, they both all rounders. They can play like everything. Um, well, not sure about their skill cap, but I cannot say the same thing about Finland and
okay,
Norway.
okay.
Like they don't have like very outstanding high skill players.
Yeah.
So I think it's just about variety. And when it comes to comparing those three countries, I think Finland has the least variety out of all three teams just
Okay.
because they have less players.
Okay. I think I would. No, I mean, given what you said, I think I am pretty fine with putting, moving Belarus to 7th, 8th, and then putting Finland lower on the list. Yeah, I think for now we'll roll with this roster. Let's not let's not let's not hold on the tier list for too long. Let's
Yeah.
move on to the next country. We're gonna see Netherlands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I think the first name. I mean, if you are an oldie in 6 digit, you will
Yeah.
100% know them. I knew this guy even before I was ever prominent in 6 digit. It's the one and only DVD Death by Darwin. Oh my goodness, Death by Darwin, my absolute love. Believe I believe they were one of they were the captain of the Netherlands roster in 2023, and then went or either stepped down from captaining in 2024 or didn't play for A. But I mean they are back and they are back as the captain for Team Netherlands this year. Um, but other than that, I think Netherlands is one of those countries that have kind of fallen off in previous years. They had a very good showing, I think, in 6WC 2023, but afterwards not quite able to truly replicate the performance that they've or the standings that they have been putting out since then. Looking at the rosters, really, DBD is the only one that I really recognize from this team. Philoxen, maybe do you have any more insight that you can give?
Yeah, no. Netherlands were getting nerfed each year, starting from 6WC2 when they got fourth placement. Then
What?
getting, yeah,
What the
just after
fuck?
Germany. Yeah, then in 6WC3 they got from 13th to 16th, and this time they have that. But they, oh my god, bro, top 10
Bro, that's not all though.
that's by
Yo, what's
Darwin.
your thoughts on the Peruvian dog?
No, 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 no.
Oh,
That's by Darwin, who is definitely he's been here for a while, but I just don't think that's gonna be enough, and I believe that's gonna be the placement around Italy's placement so far. So 13th.
yeah, same. This team doesn't really have that many carries. You have DBD, but at the same time, DVD is hitting retirement age, to say the least. Like, they're a very good captain, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to just being a player overall, I definitely think that there are a bunch of people that outclass DBD. There are a lot of veterans that outclass DBD, and that's just the unfortunate reality. Even though I do love you, DVD, one of my earliest idols type shit. But yeah, I think
Ooh,
I'm gonna put them in 13th to 16th.
okay.
Wheels? Do you
Yes,
have anything else to
I
add?
would also agree with that because of that carry player and the potential to have multiple player carry potentials. Since I do think the rest of their roster is a little less known, but
Yeah.
I do think CSR kind of messed this team up a little bit. I think there were a couple people, poor quality meat, and I think it was Anthanatos that was playing in Meeb 2 and was one of the top seeded players, unfortunately, because of CSR, did rank up out of 6 digit. So, yeah, I do agree. I think they will qualify, but I don't know if they
Yeah.
necessarily get that one win on the board.
Yeah, but with that, ladies and gentlemen, oh, remember the country that we were sort of debating over? The country that I forgot when it came to talking about our top three. Well, if you've been keeping track of the letters, ladies and gentlemen, introducing your next 100% top three team, it is Team Poland.
Oh hell no, bro.
Oh boy, this team is
No.
this team is something. Philoxen is already getting PTSD from 6EC 2024, but this team
Not
is
only.
definitely a team. You have some players from the runner-up team of 6WC 2033. You have players like Innes. You have Okui-chan and Kisabe. I believe I'm not too sure if Katuba was from that roster. I believe they weren't. But correct me if I'm wrong. But of course, you have Innes, Okui, and Kisabe, who form the holy trinity of why the fuck are they still in 6 digit. And overall, they've recently come back, and oh my god, they are still incredibly scary, especially with the CSR rework bunching a bunch of players out of the rank range. These three players definitely shine really bright above the rest. Not to mention, hey guys, Philomaster can finally play a 6EC. Let's go. Oh yeah, well, no,
Second time.
yeah, the second time they play in a 6EC. We'll see if that dumbass actually manages to play 6WC. But yeah, Cheshtoka or Philomaster, a very solid player as well in their own right. Definitely not to be underestimated. A very experienced player as well. In fact, I think that of all of the players, Philomaster definitely has the most consistent, the most consistent tournament performance, or at least tournament playing out of all of them. So yeah, definitely going to be one of the carry players. And I don't know, you just look at all these players really, and I didn't even mention Katuba, Krisu, and Adik because at least for Krisu and Adik, they are some of the newcomers for the roster, if I'm not wrong. But you look at just based off the players that you do know, and it's just so much scarier than everything that we've seen before. They have a lot of carries on the same team, and honestly, this looks like a team that you would form from an international tourney. Philoxen, would you like to take the mic
Oh
and
hell
give us
yeah.
a bit more?
So needless to say, Philomaster and Quenti have been slowly becoming all-rounders from last year. Quenti already got a couple of, I don't know, like third podium places in our pre-tournament events, so definitely improved. But the PTSD I got of that team, because not because of 6EC, but because of 6WC3.
Oh
Because
yeah,
well,
oh
because
yeah.
Xabe, Ulukri-chan, and Itnes, they placed second in 6WC3, and they were just not allowed to play in the next 6WC because of the podium placement. Of course, they were not the carries of the 6WC3 team. But Xabe is one of the most experienced captains in the rank range so far.
Yes.
Yeah, like very smart with making some strategies. Then we have Ulkwi-chan, arguably the best reading gimmick player in the tournament. And then we have Itnes, who's been here starting from, I don't know, like 6WC1, I think.
Oh, boom,
Like, bro played everything possible. Like, he's been here before Turley, I think, if not.
Man, Wheels West is laughing right now because he was first. Wheels West is laughing because he was first in that year. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Wheels, would you like to add a bit more? Given how you have first-hand experience with quite a few of these players.
Yes. Yeah, I think I have played almost every person on this roster at some point, whether it was during 6WC or if it was. I think I've played Philomaster in 2 1v1 tournaments, and I think I've played Kasabe in one of them. So, yes, I am very familiar with this team, and I'm just gonna end it with that.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Might be a hot take, but yeah.
Okay,
I think
this is
will
where
do it.
our first contested pick comes up. how do I view the Polish roster? The way that I see it is that like Germany as a roster is very, very balanced as a team. I'm just going to compare it to my third place placement. Germany is very balanced across the board. Everybody on the team does something and they do it equally well. Or at least the specialists, they do it exceptionally well, but they sort of have their shortcomings. But when you look at their carries, their all-rounders, you see Mebo, you see Turley, you see Lunexia. They all are relatively equal when it comes to their skill. I cannot say the same for Poland. Like frankly speaking, I think that the Polish roster is pretty similar to the six World Cup roster of say maybe USA. Their carries are definitely very prominent and they have an abundance of their carries. But overall, I'd say that there are some players that either we don't know too much about or haven't made big enough waves to sort of immediately strike me as a quote unquote carry player. Overall, I think Poland as a roster really need to work on might see some fourth player syndromes, at least in the higher SR rounds, but I think they are absolutely unbeatable on low SR, especially with the existence of players like Itness, Elkwi-chan, and Philomaster. I think regardless of what it is, the battle between Poland and Team Germany, or Poland and the country that we'll see, will definitely be down to the fourth player, and will definitely be down to which team can outpick the other. But personally, I might be glazing here, but I think this Polish roster is second place, but it is heavily, heavily, heavily contested. So yeah, that is going to be my ranking. Wheels, you're putting it number one. You're just going with your gut right here, right now.
Yep.
I mean, totally power to you. I think I could definitely see this team getting first place regardless. But yeah, that is going to be our ranking for Team Poland. Definitely one of the scariest rosters in the 6EC. So yeah, let's move along to Romania. You're gonna be our next roster, sort of reaching the last few teams. And yeah, this team, honestly, the only word that I can say is RIP, man. RIP. It's tough. CSR is tough. We see Luminous Sky returning for the roster. I believe they were a QA for 6WC. Correct me if I'm wrong. Lovely, lovely, lovely player. Very, very old player as well. Believe was active during the Sky Prime era. Sort of left and then came back. So yeah, Luminous Sky, definitely a very underrated player in his own right, but not too sure just how well they will perform moving forward. The other player that I also like to shout out is V Winter. Was here since my CBT3 era, and was sort of known as the 300k who could. This player is a very, very underrated for his ranks. If not for the fact that 300k tournaments don't exist, this player would definitely be a scary, scary, scary player. This V Winter guy. But yeah, other than that, I don't really know anyone else from this roster. Philoxen, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, so Luminous Sky will definitely have to log in to make his team pass the Quals, but I think it's doable because
Really?
Yeah, when he was at his prime, he was one of the best like tapping figure and control players in 6-digit. Mention like Toshi and
Whoa!
yeah, mention Toshi and me.
Philoxen, they don't know who
that.
Toshi is. The viewers don't know who Toshi is.
Oh no!
Oh no, the world
I'm
is healing. The world is healing.
That is such a good thing.
The world is healing.
Okay, but at his prime, he was such a strong all-rounder that he won a couple of 6EC 2023 matches just by FC Maps solo.
Really?
Yeah, like 2 years ago. So if he manages to de-rest, I can see them get into 13th to 16th placement.
Wheels, what about you?
Yes, I also agree with the Luminous Sky Hyper Carry for that 16th. I have seen him at his prime. I believe I played him in both Core 6-1 and Core 6-2.
Holy
if I'm not
losers!
mistaken.
God damn, that's
So, so yes, I know his potential to be that difference maker, to be that hyper carry. I do think it just comes down to if he has derusted in time and if that's something he wants to try and accomplish this year. Put that
Oh
extra
my
effort
goodness.
in and
Yep,
be
agreed.
that difference maker.
Well, I think me personally, you guys are a lot older than me. I think Luminous Sky Prime was definitely
Whoa.
after was definitely after or after the time where I started playing 6 digit. I started at around the tail end of Core 6.2, and I do know Luminous Sky was a player in Core 6.2, but I personally do not know just to what extent how good Sky was at his peak. So I'm gonna leave it to you guys, and 13 to 16th, I'm happy with that. With the Luminous Sky hyper carry.
Nice, nice.
But yeah, with that, let's
Yeah.
move along to
Oh,
perhaps
tell
one
me.
of the most notorious countries of 6 digit. Uh, we have Team Russia. You know what? Honestly, I would give my 2 cents on this roster, but I can really only give you the super good analysis on 2 players, that being Satori Depon slash Yoko and Bionic Duck. Satori Depon has been shaping up to become one of the best players in 6 digit full stop, if not one of the best players in the tournament. They used to be sort of a hard rock, sort of gimmick specialized player, but oh my goodness, from watching their Scrappy Cup 2 performance, they have been improving leaps and bounds, and they are incredibly promising going into the 6EC season. I would also like to mention Bionic Duck, who was a member of the minor league of 2023 and winning the minor league that minor league year from the World Cup. Bionic Duck is a very solid tapping, and more importantly, one of the strongest reading players right now, and hell of probably of all time. Very old player as well, so that experience is definitely going to be useful. But Philosopher, I think you definitely know more about the Ruskas,
The what now?
the Mickey Mouses. Philosopher, would you like to tell us a bit about your
Yeah,
Anyways,
so
anyways,
what the
I cannot
fuck,
make this
bro?
joke on stream. I cannot make this joke on stream.
That's crazy. Um, okay, so Satori the Pun, personally in my list, definitely goes into top 5 strongest 6-digit European players.
Yeah,
In this
I agree.
tournament. Same. No, wait, not same. Bionic Duck is a really good gimmick player that has played Boomer Cup 2 and got 3rd place alongside with 25i. They're, but when you look at the other players, you don't really recognize them. But I have
But
some insights. A bird has whispered me that
oh,
25, I told one of those players to stay
oh
in
shit!
6 digits, and when 25 I manages to hold, manages to convince someone to stay in 6 digit, that player is fucking cracked. I don't know which one it is,
I don't,
but
bro.
but we will see. We will see when the
What's
tournament
going on,
starts.
guys? Welcome back to the 6 digit. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the 6 digit World Cup series, where we definitely have a lot of insight into our community. We also asked you, do you have anything else to add? Maybe give us a placement or two from you.
Yes, I do know a couple of these players, mainly from 6WC Minor League. We had
Ooh.
2 players from Russia's B team and from their D team, as they like to spread out some of their more carry players, at least in my opinion, across their rosters. So
Yep.
their captain and Bionic Duck were on their their D team this year, which I think was their highest placing team
Yes,
in minor league.
average Russia 6WC, bro. Average Russia 6WC.
Yes. And then similarly, Satori Depon and Nick Scott were on Russia's B team this year.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
there is a lot of experience on this roster, but I don't recall them necessarily being the hyper carries or those perma lobbies in match. So I am interested to see now that CSR kind of moved up
Mhm.
a lot of their hyper carries, just to see how strong these players are individually. So I'm very excited to see it.
But yeah, I think if I were to place this country, honestly, I would put them at fourth. Honestly, I would put Russia at fourth over France, just off the back of Bionic Duck and Satori Depon. Personally, I think Russia peaks a lot higher when it comes to their carries than the French roster. And well, as you mentioned, Will, some of these players are no stranger to tournaments in general. So I think the experience, the limited, though, um, though, not I wouldn't say prevalent, but the existence of this sort of experience definitely gives me a bit more confidence in the supporting players of this roster, and which is why I would put them over France at fourth.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think same, especially because, well, if you look at the roster, you can see that there is no Sosedov in the team. But he actually got like first on lowest R pool and like fourth on highest R
What
pool
the
tryouts.
fuck?
But they put him as a captain of B team, and
Savage.
I think because of that, Russia lost one of their best carries. Satoru Depon will definitely not get skill capped in grand finals, I think. But cannot say the same thing about the others. So in my opinion, that's not going to be enough to um, overtake Poland or Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a little different, partially because I do feel that in terms of late stage pools, which I think Russia and France will both be in that consideration, I do think I have a bit more confidence in the consistency of France's hyper carry for specific maps, whether it is Manten on that hard
Mm.
rock, Momonagi on the hidden, or the DT, or the free mod. I do think they have a bit more in my mind, which is why I am putting Russia as fifth to sixth in my prediction, alongside
Okay.
the fact that Russia has yet to podium in 6EC. They have gotten fourth and fifth to sixth, whereas France, I believe, has gotten second, first, I think once, and I think second in another one. So, just
Mm.
placement wise, I do think France has that difference that they are able to beat those teams late stage, but
Yeah.
not taking anything away from Russia though. They have a very strong roster this year.
Yeah, I mean, I could
Sure.
definitely see that as well. But personally, I mean, you might have more confidence in the hyper carries of France, but I would definitely place my bets on the hyper carries of Russia being overall stronger, just in Bionic Dark and Satori Depon. But we'll see how it goes on it. We'll see how it goes. But for now, I think we put them at fourth. We'll put them at fourth.
Yep.
Yeah,
And yeah,
worked for me.
we are getting into our last few rosters. Our
I
last
wonder.
four rosters, in fact. And we are going to take a look at Team Spain.
Oh,
Ding, 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 ding. All right. Team Spain having one returning player in Pelagambas, acting as the captain this time. Um, Spain has always been one of those rosters that where they can always fill 8 players, but whether or not they are able to perform well is always a big question mark. Last year during 6WC we had players like Eric Kilio, we had players like Dark Michigan who had some sort of prevalence. Oh yeah, as well as Pinwee, yeah. Who had some sort of prevalence in the World Cup series or just in international tournaments, but this time we don't really see much of that from the Spanish roster. We do have Pelagambas, who is our returning player and our acting captain for Spain this year. But other than that, I really don't recognize a lot of these players. Philoxen, I think some of these players were involved in some of the pre-tourney events, so maybe you have something to say about them.
yeah, they were for sure. Most importantly, Kurla, who got second place in Rookie Rumble
Oh
event.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, they can play. They can play both gimmicks and tapping. Probably having some troubles with hard rocks, but that's like that doesn't matter. They can cover most of the maps, and I think that's a really good buff for the Spanish team. Even though from last year, I don't think that's gonna be stronger than the roster that they had last year. Because well, Pinvi, Erikil, and Mark, they were like the most yeah, like the core players that could just go on every map and literally beat all the like middle seed teams. So yeah, Kurla, even though is a really outstanding, promising player, I think that's gonna be slightly lower placement from last year's.
All right. Where would I put this team? Where would I put this team? Hmm. I don't know. I don't really know where I would put them. Maybe in fact I put them in 9th to 12th. I think that's where I could see them going. Just off the back of, Korea and Pelagambas, as well as Agokate, I believe. I mean, some people in chat are glazing them right now, but I have seen them here and there. Maybe 9th to 12th or 13th to 16th for me. Wheels, what about you?
Yes, I would definitely agree with the top 12 placement. I actually had them in my rankings as the 12th team on my speedrun ranking.
Mhm.
So I do think they are definitely on that borderline. But if I remember correctly, round of 16 pool is 5.1, which is the exact same star rating that the Rookie Rumble was. And the fact that one of their players is that second place finisher, I do think they will be able to put up as equal scores as they did in Rookie Rumble and get one of those wins during losers bracket round 1.
Okay.
Fair.
All right, that's fair. I guess for now we can put them at. Okay, no, you know what? I think for now I'll put them as 13th to 16th, sort of where Philoxen is, just because I don't know these players super well. So yeah, let's move on to our third last country. It's going to be Switzerland. I love Mirage Fire.
Where's Mirage Fire? No.
Where's Mirage Fire? Where's no?
I tried so hard. I tried so hard to get
Bro,
them to play.
bro, I would actually have a country to root for. You see if Mirage Fire played for this roster. But jokes aside, we are seeing we are seeing relatively more returning players coming in for this roster. We have Lipe Free and 7 Swoda from the old EC roster coming in, as well as the second Natsuko-sama. Shoutouts to the French one coming in for this Swiss roster. Switzerland is one of those countries where I really don't know much about them. Like, frankly, whenever I talk to Mirage Fire about it, it's really just your few players in maybe Quacky and Mana Wolf, but other than that, I really do not know much about this Swiss roster. Philoxen, what about you?
Well, first thing to say, Seven Sorda, Robo Freak, Natsuko, they all played in Newcomers World Cup, so you know they had a team synergy. So yeah, they know each other. They're gonna be really chill. They know each other's skill sets, and the most important part about the team is I think their carry because they have one, which is Iborius. Well, look, remember I was talking about Kurla, who got second? Well, this guy got first. And just based off that, he can play tapping and finger control with high accuracy and most of the other skill sets like Nomad 3, Nomad 4, and other stuff. So I think carry-wise, they are stronger than Spain and will definitely be able to place at least from 9th to 12th.
Yeah, I think No, you know what? I'm gonna have faith. I'm gonna be a believer. I think that this roster just has a bit more experience than the Spanish roster, which is why I will also place my bets on 9 to 12.
Yay.
Woo.
Real
Wheels, what about you?
I will agree with that, although it isn't with my speedrun ranking. I do agree that having that first place rookie rumble player will be equally as important, as well as they also, I think, quite a few players were also in Frost Duo Cup, hosted
Oh,
by
man.
I believe it was
Turley and Hope.
Hopes and Turley, yes,
Yep.
and then Maxwell as well. So
Mhm.
having that extra tournament of experience and having that be 2v2 team size 2 means that they have that experience on every single map.
Mm.
Whereas I don't know if those players from Spain necessarily have that.
Yep.
So I will agree with the 9th to 12th placement.
Yeah, I think
Mm.
in some part, Switzerland has always been one of the more consistent performers in EUC. Uh, I was gonna make a Eurovision joke. Holy shit, I'm so brain rotted. But yeah, I think
Bro.
overall Switzerland has the sort of legacy that is pretty underrated. I'd say in the World Cup series. And overall, I think Lipe Free and Seven Soda as the returnee players can definitely put up some good work, at least in this EC. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting into our last two countries, and I'm sure Philoxen already knows what's up.
This shit is about to get real.
Well, last time when I did 6WC 2024 predictions, the heart glaze was real. But ladies and gentlemen, introducing your 6EC 2024 winners. You guys know them. You guys love them. It is the one, the only Team Ukraine. Oh, I'm gonna take the reins from Philoxen because I'm sure he has a lot more to say moving forward. But this team, this team has taken quite a big hit. We don't have our core Jadens, we don't have our Philolixens or slash Hukudas, but this team still has a lot of their 6WC roster. We have Philoxenia, arguably top 3, one of if not the best just 6-digit European players. One of the best players one of the best players in the tournament as well. You have 153 Zersh, who has been making waves in the 6-digit scene, second place in CVT for second place in Scruffy Cup 2, and overall a very, very good hard rock player. Limecat and I know just Limecat as well from the 6EC roster, which I fucking destroyed. Who as well in their own right is a very, very solid and upcoming player. That's all I have. Wheels West, would you like to take the baton from me before we pass it on to our lovely Ukrainian captain Philoxen?
Yes, I do agree that I don't think they have necessarily the same star talent as they did last year. A lot of those names have been around the scene for a long time and made the most of their time left in the tourney scene, as I believe CSR or just ranking up in general took a lot of these players out of this rank range. But in terms of players this year, I do agree that they have one of the strongest individual players, but I am not as well versed on the rest of their roster.
Yeah, I think before we get to Philoxen, the old Ukrainian roster really looks exactly like a ideal 6WC roster, and that was the scariest part about Ukraine. The EUC roster this year looks a lot more tame, but even though they look a lot more tame, they're definitely still a formidable roster to deal with. But of course, we can't end off the Ukrainian section without talking about our lovely, two-time Ukrainian captain himself, the 6-digit legend. Philoxen, would you like to take the mic? Would you like to take the mic?
Well, there's some things to say. First of all, we have the only part of the Philoxen family, Philoxenia, my successor, becoming captain for Ukraine this year. Last year he skipped both fucking finals and grand finals matches. So he
Dumbass.
came. So he came back again to prove that he learned from his past mistakes.
Okay.
Already won a couple of tournaments, a couple of second places, won AIM Legends tournament, sweeping Dragonfire, sweeping many other really good, strong tournament players. Then we have Surge, of course, the second carry of Team Ukraine, who got, as Gamila mentioned, also a couple of podium placements in the recent 6-digit tournaments. Then Limecat, one of the core players, that, well, you love to see that at least someone survived the the PP rework. And then all the other players you don't really know about. Yeah, like you don't really know stuff about them because they all were recruited right before 6EC and
Oh shit. Philoxen is repeating exactly what Singapore's gonna do for 6 APC.
Goddamn, bro. Yeah, but we have some really promising players like Mr. Malishka got second placement in tryouts, beating Philoxenet because bro was fucking like sleepy when playing tryouts. It doesn't matter.
Bro.
Yeah, and then you must mention Seising. This guy,
Seising.
he actually wasn't recruited at all. He's been around the tournament scene like since 2023. And this guy, well, if you don't know who he is, bro plays like 10-star maps with easy. Then he has like 700 combo on Snow Irony top diff with easy.
What the fuck?
Like if there was a skill-based screening, bro would have been dead.
Yep.
He finally made it to the main Ukrainian roster. Because when he tried to try out for Ukraine last year's, he got like 10th or 11th placement. Now he finally made it, and I believe the gimmick player on the gimmick players on Ukraine, as Philoxenia and Seising, is a really dynamic duo.
Damn.
But then for other skill sets, they're also covered because Philoxenia and Surge are basically all-rounders. In fact, when you look at Philoxenia, the only person that might be able to rival them is Dragonfire, in my opinion, in Europe.
And maybe Yoko.
Maybe Satori the Pawn.
Yeah, maybe Satori the Pawn.
Oh, that's fair. Philoxenia and Story the Pawn, they've encountered each other in a pre-tournament event. And Philoxenia beat them like 6-1, so
okay. Wow, you're so toxic. You're so
I'm
toxic.
sorry. No, but
so toxic.
okay, let's go. The pool was lower, so
That's fair. That's fair.
Different. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. That roster, in my opinion, is definitely not weaker than Russia's or Germany's roster, and might be able as well to rival Poland because I just know for a fact that Philoxenia and Surge, they will not get skill capped in the later stages at all.
Okay. Well, I think this country, I think Ukraine definitely could be a 4th place roster. Frankly speaking, if we are talking about purely based off carries, I think Ukraine peaks higher than Russia just because of how consistent their carries are. I frankly believe that honestly, we could bump Russia down and move them to 4th. I think we could actually move them to 4th because you look at Russia's carries, you have Satori de Pawn and Bionic Duck. You look at Ukraine, you have Philoxenia, arguably top 3. You have Zersh on Hard Rock, and you have Seising on the incredible easy carry. If you had to ask me, I would say 4th. I would honestly say 4th personally. But we could just be super fucking biased right now. We could just be super fucking biased.
I mean, looks like 4th is the middle ground for the votes from us.
Yeah. We have Philoxen, the biased vote, Wheels West with the more conservative vote, and I will take the middle and I would say 4th. Everybody in chat is doubting. Lock in chat.
We what?
But yeah, I think going okay. Well, before we move on, I think going into six WC, I do admit that there is quite a bit of bias from my end towards Team Ukraine. Just because I literally, other than that, I've literally no bias to any sort of country. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, with that, with Ukraine out of the way, let's move on to our final roster. This country, fourth place in 6WC 2023. I believe semi-finals in 6WC 2024. One of the more consistent countries overall in the World Cup series. It is the one, the only. We're gonna end it off with an absolute bang. The United Kingdom. Before we begin, everybody drop all of your UK boos in the chat. I love UK. Yeah. This team. Oh, do I have things to say about this team? Team UK is one of those teams where they have a very tightly knit bond. But before I move on to the mental, let's talk about the facts. This team has, if Philoxenia was the number 2 in Europe, this team has the number 1 in Europe. Dragonfire 0512 needs absolutely no introduction. Arguably one of the best players, maybe tied up with Ziggs when it comes to the 6-digit. Somehow managed to survive CSR, and to be honest, they were on par, maybe even, top 15 in the 6WC 2024 scene, which speaks volumes because the 2024 players were arguably the strongest overall players in the World Cup series, full stop. Dragonfire being able to put up that kind of performance is just nothing short of incredible, and they are back for this roster, and they are without a doubt going to be one of the scariest player to go up against. Not to mention, we also have a bunch of returning players. We have Bigfoot, we have Highway Vortex coming in from the 2024 roster. Both of these players, Bigfoot is a incredible gimmick player, easy player, very strong when it comes to hidden. And Highway Vortex, known for her control, known for their very unmatched ability when it comes to just pure ult. And overall these three players sort of lay down the foundation for this roster overall. I'm sure, I mean, if you know my username, all of you guys can already know the glazing that's about to go underway, but Perry Crayola being brought in as the new blood of the UK roster, never before seen in 6WC or 6EC. But I can tell you that Perry is she's a very earnest player. She comes in and she's a very good scouter. She has very strong mental when it comes down to it. And overall, on hard rock in particular, or not even hard rock, just anything not speed or anything that she can combo abuse, she is the woman for the job. Perry is an incredibly promising player going into this 6EC season, and I'm definitely excited to see how she performs. But I'm not biased towards Team UK because they are my number 1. I'm just gonna spill it right now. They are my current number 1 pick, and I never favor the number 1. Philoxen, would you like to talk a bit about the rest of the players? I'm sure a lot of them have been involved in pre-tourney events.
Yeah, well, Sayaluk and Isaac JSY, they were signed up for many pre-tournament events. Same for FMB. Well, this part of the UK's roster, they're like newbies, so it's really nice to see them gaining that experience to support their main carries. Like Highway Vortex, literally the Lunexia of United Kingdom, even better than Lunexia. Then we have Bigfoot for all the reading picks and the consistency picks. Then Pericrel for hard, and finally Dragonfire. These 4 players, from Bigfoot to Highway Vortex, they can cover most of the skill sets by themselves. With the new support players, I believe they will be feeling comfortable on every single map up to like semifinals, I think. But the only concern I have about them is the skill cap once again, because I'm not familiar with how well Highway Vortex, Bigfoot, and Perry Crayola can perform in finals and grand finals pools. Of course, you have Dragonfire, whose skill cap is, I don't know, like 6.2 or some shit.
Yeah,
Um,
bullshit. Real 6 digits.
yeah, but I'm just not sure because, in my opinion, players from, for example, Poland and Ukraine, they have more players that have
That's
higher
true.
skill cap.
That's true. That is true.
So I wouldn't be so confident in UK getting first place.
Wheels, would you like to add on before I give my 2 cents?
uh, as you probably might guess from my Poland prediction, I also agree that
Mm-hmm.
I think they are a very solid second place team. I do, again, have a little bit of concern about a 4-man roster for late stage,
Mm-hmm.
but the players that I do know, I have a lot of faith in them. I am just a little worried from their placement last year. I think that is a little
Oh.
bit of a bad blip in their history in country-based tournaments, and I'm hoping that doesn't continue into this year. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a little worrisome.
I think I've definitely peer pressured my way into second place for this. In like I think the way this UK team is very unique from the rest of the UK teams that we've seen in history, in the sense that typically UK is one of those countries that are very like well-rounded overall when it comes to sort of the skill level of their players. But I think with this UK roster, there is a very clear hierarchy when it comes to their players. At the top, you have maybe Dragonfire and Highway Vortex, who are your go-to carries for every map. And then on the lower tiers, maybe you have Perry and Bigfoot coming in for more specialized maps. And although I do know, like, I know what Isaac is capable of, I know what Toast is capable of. I have seen them around here and there. The question really becomes, is their inexperience going to hamper them? And I definitely think it will. Going into higher SR, as you guys mentioned, very, very, very rightfully so, this team definitely begins to fall off because you look at the carries, right? You look at the carries. Dragonfire has a weakness. They are not unbeatable. On aim, they definitely fall a bit short. On high wave, they definitely fall a bit short on the hard rock. With parry, they fall short on hard rock. Bigfoot, they fall short on mechanics. And and even though they do have their other 4 players on the roster, the question now becomes like, are they going to really put up the same level of carry performance as say Poland? I definitely don't think so. I definitely don't think so. And I think the new bloods of this UK roster definitely need to go above and beyond if they want to secure this first place. So with that all considered, I will, in fact, I believe that I would actually bump Poland up the first place. I still do think that the UK roster is probably going to make top 3 easily, but when they get into higher SR, when they have to contest with some of the scarier teams in the roster, that's where the disparity between those who are skill capped and those who fall off will be extremely big, and you'll start to notice it. So definitely going to be a lot of pressure on Bigfoot to sort of work around these weaknesses. But even though I say all this, definitely I still think that the top 3 is heavily contested just off the fact that we don't know how good Isaac at JSY, FMB, Gosu Toast, and Cell Lock are. So yeah, with that, I think this is gonna be my ranking for it. I'm gonna put them in second place. Philoxen, why do you put them in fifth to sixth?
Because when we started discussing more about the roster, I just remembered what happened in 6WC4. That Dragonfire, Bigfoot, and if I remember correctly, Highway Vortex was also playing in 6WC4, and they lost to Ukraine, which had both Philoxenia and Surge, who were the carries. And even though both Dragonfire and Philoxenia improved, I think that just because of the fact that I have the tryout results, I feel that on high star rate pools, I believe both Ukraine and even Russia will be able to outperform United Kingdom.
Well, I think UK this year is definitely going to be the wild card of all things considered, right? We can never be too sure as to how strong UK will perform, which is why me personally, I'm comfortable with putting them in second. But once again, I mean, the top four are still very, very contested nonetheless. I mean, Wheels, do you have anything that you want to say to wrap up the session?
Yeah, I do agree. I do think there are tiers of teams right now, and it'll be interesting to see which teams overperform their current kind of tier and which teams don't. But we do actually have one more team to add to
this
our
will change everything.
predictions.
Oh fuck,
This
it's
will
the
change
Milano
everything.
team.
The
fuck,
one
this
that
will change
I skipped on
everything.
accident. But our final team for
It's
our
going to be the
predictions
United
was-
States of America.
Oh,
The United roster of Europe. Oh my god.
yes.
The United States of Europe, chat.
What? Literally.
Yes.
Oh my
so,
goodness. Yeah,
this
this is
is-
the you go for it, Wheels.
Yeah, this is a first for 6EC, kind of following the kind of blueprint of minor league last year, having their world regional team as well as the regional all-star show matches. I think that showed that these teams that don't necessarily have enough to make a full roster as a country still deserve to show their skills as a regional team. And with that, I do think there are some very known players in this European roster, namely Johnny 101. I believe he got third place in the Nordic Summer Series 1v1 tournament last year, as well as Panar has been around the scene. I think I've seen him a little more. I think I've seen him a little more as a staffer than a player, but
Congratulations
nonetheless,
on your epic fail.
yeah, nonetheless, no, they know tournaments enough to, I think, have a decent shot at competing with some of these other countries.
But me personally, I really cannot see this team making out calls. I might be a hater, but frankly speaking, I think with the limited roster and the players that I do know, none of these players are really carry material, and that's sort of what's been making the difference, right, for most of these rosters. And even though you have like maybe Panha, you have Daniel of Mark, Johnny, really, I just don't think that's enough. I really just don't think that's enough. So yeah,
tournament, and now, okay, then.
Whoa. But yeah, with that, I think all the main consensus is the DNQ. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone, take your speech bubbles, take your screenshots right now.
No, can we reconsider?
Can we reconsider? Honestly, I really don't have any placement shifts that I don't really want to make any placement shifts. I'm quite happy with this list.
Because no, I just think that the whole top six, when it comes to the real tournament, the placements will be different. But like they all have chances of winning.
I definitely agree with that. And frankly speaking, despite CSR, I'm really excited to see how these top four teams contest against each other, especially. Definitely, it is ambiguous. I think Poland will still be the favorite to win the entire thing, but really, everybody could put up a good fight depending on what their day is, and that really is the spirit of the World Cup series. So, yeah. If nobody has anything else left to say, I think we can move on to our roster reviews, which unfortunately, I will not be joining alongside Wheels West. I think Philoxen is also taking a break as well for that. But yeah, Ladies and gentlemen, this has been your 6EC 2025 prediction stream. We have been your commentators, Philoxen, Wheels West, and of course, my name is Gammy Crayola. Huge shout outs to our other admin, or the host, forgive me, Fraon, for being our lovely streamer, set up this entire prediction stream. This would not have been possible without their work. So, yeah, huge shout outs to them. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, this will be the finalized predictions for 6EC 2025. We'll see how well they age. But yeah, with that, ladies and gentlemen, my name has been Gammy Cruella. This has been 6EC 2024, and we will see you in the next stream. Let's get into our roster reveals. Bye bye.
Bye guys. Make sure to schedule your qualifier lobbies because there has only been like 7 or 6 teams that have already scheduled the Quals lobbies, and we have like 30 teams to play qualifiers. So please do that.
GG. But yeah, we'll see you.
All right. Okay, time to watch the roster reveals, guys.
Bro, can they hear us?
Oh shit.
Mi bombo.
Okay, let's mute ourselves.
Пошло все в пизду, сколько можно, блин.
Сюда уже, вон.
Hello guys, today, we have a list of top 5 Ukrainian rankers. Número 5, Philox en parkour.
Bro, why are you doing it so slow?
How am I supposed to do this fast?
Like parkour pro?
Número 4, Limecat File. Número 3, Philoxenia Clutch.
Человек сенсатри.
Mm.
Тварь.
Número 2, Sundux Streams.
Ukraine, they are pretty famous for their streams.
Honorable mention.
I'll go in.
Okay, come.
Let's go.
Fuck, what the fuck
Wow.
is this? Oh my god, you stopped losing, bro.
Frustrated.
Número 1, Sanix Karaoke.
Это кнопка. Блять, ладно, давай. Что сейчас называется? Раз, два, три.
Да.
Бэйби, блять. Бэйби,
Друзья, всем привет! Я Join1211. Вы можете знать меня как Дерибобка, как Маэнджел Сахаро, как Ижевск Сургут. Я проводил трайауты, и сейчас происходит ревил на турнир 6 European Cup 2025. Команда Россия А. Я должен был снимать его историю в другом туалете, но в моей квартире он сгорел вместе с ванной и коридором, так что мне пришлось экстренно ехать сюда. Ну, это из тонировки у меня вот такая ситуация. Давайте приступать. Сейчас выберу, где все как раз-то есть. Сейчас, подождите, друзья. А, нет, не здесь. Так вот, Россия, состав. Показ состава. Начинаем с нашего любимого капитана Нельси. Хороший игрок. У него был какой-то код на аватарке, но он заменил его на крутого медведя. Сейчас будет его плей. На карте Go Берсерк. Наверное, надо взять его немного побольше. Ой, у нас, блин. Подождите. Перемотаю сразу. Вот, смотрите. Смотрите, говорил, что круто начинается на 1 минуте, так что мы промотаем до 1 минуты. Ого! Ну, я думаю, пока что хватит. Вот, временем он миснул как лох. Это прикольдес на элите. Он человек серьезный, так что прикольдес всего один. Нерите, у меня утренник через полчаса. Давайте быстрее. Переходим к следующему игроку. Сатори Депон, один из сильнейших игроков состава и очень опытный игрок. Блин, а почему он так жадный? Блин. Подождите. О, хорошо. Я не знаю, на каком месте здесь круто. Так что давайте помотаем немного по кругу. Ого! Джампы! Ох. Все, он миснул, плей заканчивается. Прикольдес участник Сатори Депон. В составе вы можете знать его как Лягускис, потому что он продался женщине. Where Сатори Депон? Сатори Депон из Саудовской Аравии. Шутка в том, что Сатори Депон живет в России, а не в Саудовской Аравии. Прикол, в основных картинках вы можете распознать сами. Вот они поближе. Перейдем к первому новичку 6 дигит турниров с стран Based. Reward Text. Начал играть он чуть больше года назад, но уже достигает какого-то уровня. Давайте посмотрим его плей. Ой-ой-ой, плей уже стал его переиграть. Ой-ой-ой, не надо. Блин, он промесал. Хорошо, этого не было видно. Почему-то плей не особо хорошо крутится, но вы сможете слышать по хит-саундам, что он прокомбил к той парт. Хоть этого и не видно. Давайте перейдем к прикольдесам. Блин, у меня завис ноутбук. Это пипец. О, все, у меня теперь не завис ноутбук. Прикольдес участие в Reward текста. Этот плей был взят из трайаутов. Там он во время карты мод 2 или мод 5, я не помню точно. Он очень смешно трясся. Давайте мы все на это посмотрим. Как вы видите, вот на этом трейлере длинном видно, что у него очень смешно трясется курсор. Видно, что человек играет недавно, и поэтому у него тряска, пока он играет в боссу. Желаем ему это исправить. Перейдем к следующему игроку. Игрок Смортон. Игрок не отправил нам реплей, потому что он дебил. О его турнирном опыте мало что можно сказать, но он очень хороший игрок в синглплеере и хорошо показал себя на трайаутах. Поэтому он в составе. Прикольдес с участием Смортона. Нижнее сообщение было взято во время скримов. Также он сейчас пишет кружки в Телеграме. Сейчас я его вам покажу с согласия самого Смортона. О нет, давайте еще раз посмотрим начало. Также второй смешной кружок с его участием.
Всем привет, сегодня с вами Fortnite, друзья.
Смешно. Переходим к следующему новичку состава и 6 дигит турниров Джоселе. Он реплей прислал, но записан он был любимыми друзьями. Прости, не очень... А, нет. И так все хорошо видно. Будь здоров, за нами. Будь здоров, Игорь. Будь здоров, Игорь. Ого! Он вводит слайдеры. Круто. На слайдерах нет тиков, но он все равно проводит их в самое то. Молодец, Джозерю. Также... О, нет! Ой, что это такое? Подождите. Все. Также Джосель известен тем, что он не приходит на матчи. Потому что он безответственный и много пьет пива. Следующий новичок состава, но хорошо показавший себя на турнирах и на скримах, это Шуса. Здесь вы можете видеть хайлайт с одного турика, где он выстрелил карту и матч. Он победил против Вокеля, нашего оппонента на турнире 6 дигит Европеан Кап. Наверное, я не знаю. Наверное, он играет неплохо. Плохо видите, но можете посмотреть на комбо Шусу и на комбо остальных игроков. Сразу видно, что игрок серьезный. К сожалению, игрок слишком серьезный, поэтому он не пристал прикольдеса с собой. А возможно, что он просто молодой, и пока что не все знают, какой он прикольный. Следующий игрок Бионик Так. Бионик Так, один из самых старых игроков состава, играет уже с 23-го года. Здесь вы можете лицезреть реплей на Гингаузу Фун Easy Halftime, который его просили год назад, очень много раз. И он наконец-то его сделал. Спасибо большое тебе, Бионик Так. Игрок известен своим навыком чтения Easy и Easy Hidden, а также Easy Halftime Hidden. будем долго останавливаться на реплее, потому что у нас осталось мало времени до собита состава, потому что Филоксен очень поздно сказал нам собитать составы. Прикольдесов с уткой очень много, он очень опытный игрок, у него очень много общения с комьюнити, он очень крутой. Здесь мы просим его сыграть Гингао за Визи ХТ. Тут я, увидя скор другого игрока, думаю, что утку пришло время заменить. Но нет, утка снова в А-составе. Тут вы видите еще одного утку. Также он сам породил мем «Кто-то на сервере Бионик утка». Этот мем понравился многим. Вы можете видеть, как людям его пишут. В том числе Топикс Влад, Юку XD, Сатори Депон. И все. И 8-й участник нашего состава это Никс Год. Игрок играет давно, но в турнирах начал участвовать относительно недавно, но уже показывает крутой перформанс. Играл в бой-составе прошлого года. Смотрим реплей. Ой, музыка там страшная, я ее выключу. Игрок играет все. Здесь он круто пробивает паттерны на альтакарте. Не помню, как называется, но там поет страшная женщина, я поэтому не буду показывать, как она поет. Вы зато видите, о, пробил. Опа, оп, 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 оп. Молодец. Несмотря на то, что Никс Год относительно давно играет турниры, с ним приколов не нашлось. Человек серьезный и не особо с кем-то общается. Вот. Всем спасибо, что смотрели просто ревил. Команде России пожелаем удачи. Всем пока. Друзья, всем привет. Я